what would happen if Hawkeye was present for the events of Avengers Infinity War? How would the exact story change as a result? Well, that's what I'm here to examine today. So I'm going to look at how Hawkeye would get out of the collar thing on his leg, which battle he would take part in, and if anything would change during his time in Avengers Endgame. So let's find out. Okay, so I get to get a scenario taking place right around when the fight with Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive has finished and they've escaped. Once Cap and all the others get on the Quinjet, Falcon asks, "Where to, Cap?" And I think the most important part of this is Cap would actually instruct Falcon to go to Hawkeye's farm. Okay, so once the Avengers that were in Edinburgh fighting Thanos' Black Order arrive at Hawkeye's farm, I believe Clint would be hesitant to accept because he's made a deal with the government and he's got the ankle bracelet on. However, I think there's a possibility that perhaps either Black Widow or Cap could possibly disrupt the ankle bracelet and make the government think that Hawkeye was still at his home. Now, in terms of which battle of Infinity War Hawkeye would take part in, I think it is a fair bet to say that he would have taken part in the Battle of Wakanda, because it seems the most logical given that he was with Cap and Black Widow, Falcon, and the others during the start of this timeline. Now, I don't think anything else would have changed in this film. Thanos still would snap away half the universe. Hawkeye's family, unfortunately, yes, they would still get dusted. And we'll get to the events of Endgame and how they would have changed. Okay, so at the start of Endgame, and when I say start, I mean the post-credit scene from Captain Marvel, I believe Clint would probably be a bit depressed. So, probably in a similar depressed state to when we saw Thor at the beginning of Endgame, but not in such a depressed state that he would gain weight too. So, I think Clint would still be in a similar depressed state to Thor, and, well, he would be present for when Captain Marvel arrives, so that would be interesting. And Clint learning of Fury's death is also a bit depressing for him as well. Okay, I believe Hawkeye would have been present for ambushing Thanos on Titan 2, or the Garden as it's called in the film. I do believe that nothing else would have very much changed. I still think that Thor would have killed Thanos, and Hawkeye would probably just be there in the background or something. Like, we'd probably see an occasional shot of him, but he'd just be there in the background. And he wouldn't probably help subdue Thanos because, let's be honest, Captain Marvel, War Machine, Thor, and Banner and the Hulkbuster obviously took care of that. So, in terms of the 5-year time jump, I believe that Hawkeye would probably still live at Avengers HQ with Black Widow and the others. Now, I think it's a safe bet to say Hawkeye may have still become Ronin, but would have been in New York for the whole time. So he probably would have been cleaning up the streets of any other, like, burglars or any criminals who decide to roam the streets and look for stuff and kill people. I believe Clint probably would have been Ronin in at least New York, but wouldn't be in Tokyo, so that whole scene with Hawkeye and the Accuser wouldn't happen. So, as for the rest of Avengers Endgame, I believe it would remain unchanged. So, depressed Thor, Iron Man still snaps, Black Widow still dies for the Soul Stone. Hawkeye, I believe, probably wouldn't have the buzz cut we saw in Endgame, but I think it's possible. He probably wouldn't have that giant arm tattoo, but that's not really important. But I still believe the rest of Avengers Endgame would remain unchanged. Infinity War would still pretty much go the same, except Hawkeye would just be integrated into it. And Hawkeye would not learn that his family was dusted. So, that's one thing to take into account.